love, unity, civilization, and total chaos.
Had a hunch, maybe a premonition. I didn't say anything on the air. I just had a sense of something bigger. 2 weeks ago, when Trump fired the acting attorney general, I thought, that's strange. On air, I compared it, everybody did, to Nixon's Saturday Night Massacre. The reason for the firing, according to Trump, was the attorney general had been disloyal to the president. I stated the obvious. The Attorney General of the United States is sworn to uphold the Constitution and the rule of law, not to be loyal to the president or any individual. But I had a feeling there's something else, something bigger. I should have connected the dots, but with everything going on with the immigration ban, I did not. The firing of Acting Attorney General Pamela Yates had a stunning parallel to Richard Nixon. Not because she was disloyal, but because she had informed Trump of Michael Flynn's phone calls to the Russian ambassador. She was fired because she had evidence of a federal crime committed by Flynn and possibly by Trump himself. She was fired because she could take action on that serious and possibly treasonous criminal activity. Let's connect more dots. Michael Flynn is a high-level intel professional. He was for 3 years. For 3 years a high-level intel professional. Flynn made phone calls to the Russian ambassador. He then lied about the calls to the vice president. Michael Flynn should have known that phone calls to the Russian ambassador were recorded and monitored by the CIA. But you didn't have to be an intel pro to know that. I knew that. I knew that when I was a kid. Not because I was an astute child who studied spy techniques, not because I read Tom Clancy novels. I knew that phone calls to the Russian ambassador were monitored by intel because I watched Get Smart, Mission Impossible, and Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoons on TV. Everyone knows that. Phone calls to the Russian ambassador are monitored. Could it be that Flynn, who had the highest security clearance, could it be Flynn who probably read hundreds of transcripts of intercepted communications, forgot that the Russian ambassador's phone is tapped? Did he take a stupid pill that day? Did it simply slip his mind? Oh, that's right. The CIA monitors phone calls to the Russian ambassador. Duh. It is inconceivable that Michael Flynn simply forgot. It is much more likely that Flynn talked openly with the Russian ambassador because he knew that Team Trump would take office in a matter of days. He was simply confident that Trump's attorney general would not take any action against the future national security advisor. Flynn, he wasn't worried about violating the Logan Act, written in 1799. He wasn't concerned about breaking the law because he thought he was the law. Trump said just today Flynn was just doing his job. Trump claimed that he did not tell Flynn to call the Russians, but he would have. The phone calls, 5 phone calls, came the day after the Obama administration installed sanctions on Russia and gave 35 Russian diplomats 48 hours to get out of the United States. Flynn claims that the phone calls were simply to exchange Christmas greetings and to express his sympathy for the Red Army choir who had just died in a plane crash. That could have been accomplished with one phone call. Flynn made 5 phone calls to the Russian ambassador that day. Even more suspicious, Russia took no retaliatory action in response to the sanctions. Highly unusual in these diplomatic tit-for-tat actions. It is much more likely that Flynn was making a deal with the Russian ambassador about the sanctions. We have only circumstantial evidence of a more profound deal with Russia, mostly unnamed sources. But the evidence is strong and completely logical. The evidence has been coming for months and keeps pointing to the same conclusion, that Team Trump was working with Russia to get itself installed in the White House. Was it because of a carrot or a stick? The carrot is the election victory. The stick is whatever compromat, whatever dirt, photographs, audio, and video recordings Russia has of Trump's suspect activities in Russia. This is much bigger than Watergate. Watergate was lies about dirty tricks against the Democratic Party. Working with Russia to get yourself elected president for whatever reason, and possibly to rig U.S. policy in favor of the Kremlin, that is the very definition of treason. I'm going to invite my co-host, Jean Lee. Come on into the picture, Jean.
Hi.
Hi. I imagine you have a question.
I do.
Oh, you have it on your iPhone?
Yeah, because that's what all the kids do these days.
Yeah, I have my iPhone ready because we need notes. I may need glasses, but I do need notes to complete the show here.
Okay. So was Flynn fired or did he quit?
Ah, that's the thing. He said he resigned. A very carefully worded statement came up that he resigned. But of course, he was fired. Now, the interesting thing is Trump claims that he was fired because, well, it had become uncomfortable for Trump, and it had become the real reason that he was fired because it hit the press.
Yes.
Oh
no, it hit the fake news.
Oh, it hit the fake news, right.
He watches all the time.
All
Trump.
the time.
Yeah, why would you watch fake news all the time and then tweet about it? Obviously, he's tweeting about it because he's watching fake news.
Now, you didn't see that press conference today. We talked earlier, but it was a real shit show.
That's what I did learn. I learned that drugs are cheaper than candy.
Oh, yes, yes. And what do they compare the drugs and candy to now?
Oh, they said something about how drugs were cheaper than candy and the drugs were like everywhere.
I didn't catch that part. I was watching.
Yeah.
Of course, I was working here at the network today, but so I had it on the background, but it was a real shit show because he basically engineered the whole press conference. So he was talking about the press, about the media, telling them what liars they were, what a terrible network CNN was. I don't know if he mentioned MSNBC. But really, that's a tactic. Why do you do that? Because you don't want to answer questions about the real issues, the real questions that people were asking about. He was like asked about anti-Semitism by a reporter from Israel, and he basically told the guy to sit down and be quiet.
Oh, Malik's texting me. He asked
Malik?
me if
Okay, what does Malik say?
Hi, Malik. He asked me if I was really on my phone, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah, these are not props. These are actual phones, kids. Yes, they are.
So why did Flynn lie to Pence? I don't understand.
That's real interesting. That's a good question. Usually you say that when you don't have an answer, but I do have an answer.
What?
I believe that either Pence didn't want to know about any of this Russian stuff. He was informed, or he caught wind of it way back in the campaign when he was asked to be vice president. But at whatever time, he needed plausible deniability, a phrase that came up in Watergate, meaning you can't be asked to testify about what you don't know. And if it's plausible that it's been denied, that he can deny it. So Pence, who may get to be the president yet, and I think Pence was smart enough that he said, I'll be on the team, but I don't want to know about any of this Russian stuff. He probably sensed that it was going on. So probably for the reasons of plausible deniability. By the way, we are taking your phone calls tonight. 212-757-1393. We're going to try the phones once again. Also, tweet us, live tweet at us tonight.
dvtv at dvtv live, right?
Yeah, well, it's the handle, as they say, the handle is at dvtv live. But you should see that running along the bottom of the screen with a bunch of other stuff. 212-757-1393. If I've been inaccurate about any of my facts about Watergate, please call in and correct me. We don't want a long history lesson, but we do want to hear your phone calls. 212-757-1393.
But Rich, you
Yes.
would know more about Watergate because you were alive. I wasn't.
Well, you know, there's been a lot of comparisons, and even me in the past couple of tweets, past couple of days,
Yeah.
the email thing I sent out for this show. Yeah, I was saying this is bigger than Watergate. Here's the deal with Watergate as I take a sip of water.
Well, you know what Dan Rather said on Facebook? Dan Rather said, compared to Watergate, this is so far a 5 out of 10
Now,
on
I
a scale
thought-
from 1 to 10.
I thought yesterday he put it at a 9 point something,
Oh,
but
he
I
might
could
have
be
changed
wrong.
it. Okay, he might have updated.
I could be
Dan
wrong.
Rather said this is some major shit.
Well, Dan Rather was a star in the press conferences for pressing Nixon, and that's what, I mean, this is very Nixon-esque, the press conference I saw today, because Nixon was rather hostile to the press. But Watergate, getting back to Watergate. Now, Watergate was basically a bunch of White House goons breaking into a file cabinet and a Democratic office in the Watergate Hotel.
Okay.
And it barely got a headline, you know, it got a headline because it was they weren't known to be White House goons at the time. But as reporters dug, they found that, hey, these guys are somehow connected to Cuba, somehow connected to, they're connected to the White House. Is this directed for, yes, did the president know? And there was the phrase that keeps coming up today, what did the president know? When did he know it? Well, the president knew, and he knew early on, and he approved of it, and he lied about it. So that was the whole reason that Nixon had to resign. And he resigned under pressure from Republicans and Democrats because it was clear, they made it clear to him, we'll impeach you. It's too uncomfortable for us. Everybody knows you're lying, and the American people will not accept that. So Flynn, and it's been reported today and last night by the Washington Post, that Flynn did a deposition with the FBI. The FBI asked Flynn questions about those phone calls, and reportedly, we don't have the transcripts yet, but reportedly, Flynn told the FBI, no, we didn't discuss the sanctions. We didn't discuss anything. Now, if he lied to the FBI, that's a serious charge.
That's a felony times a million.
He could be facing some
That's a Class
some
A
heavy
felony.
time. Yeah, it
to
is.
lying to the FBI.
And it's a federal crime. It's not, you know, it's not like a local crime. It's a federal crime. So he could be facing some time for that. Now, the big question is, will the current Attorney General, will Jeff Sessions investigate Team Trump, of which he was a member? This is why
I don't think he will.
I don't think he will. This is why Chuck Schumer is insisting that that Sessions recuse himself. How can he be an independent investigator into a thing he was a part of for so many months? So this is the whole thing. Can there be a cover-up? Again, another parallel to Watergate, cover-up. That was the whole thing. There was a cover-up in Watergate. The president engineered, and his men engineered a cover-up. That was the downfall of Nixon. Well, is Trump? It certainly looks like it from all the evidence we're getting, all the stuff that's coming out.
The president is blaming the media. Do you think that's true?
you know, he's
Fake news.
blaming the media. It's very interesting what he's doing. He's blaming the media about the leaks, about his illegal activity and the illegal activity of his staff and his election team and now his White House team. So he's saying that the media is at fault and illegally reporting the leaks, reporting facts that are leaked out. However, the facts are about illegal activity.
You know what?
So it's kind of like a weird conundrum denial that loops back on itself. It's like what I call a self-fulfilling prophecy.
But he absolutely loved when WikiLeaks was leaking stuff about Clinton, which was unfavored.
Of course.
He went on the trails like, you know, WikiLeaks, you never know what they're going to release today. Like, he would just go on the trail.
WikiLeaks,
yeah,
he
exactly.
said. Yeah.
You know how many times he said that?
When he was on the other side of it. Yeah.
And now it's just, he's like, the leaker will be caught on Twitter. I'm like, seriously?
Yeah. I mean, Julian Assange was his hero.
Oh,
back then. Yeah, and the hero of a lot of the alt-right because Assange was leaking stuff against Clinton. Now, well, I don't know what I haven't paid attention to WikiLeaks in some time, but other leaks are coming out. It's most likely from people within the White House and people within the government who know and are profoundly disturbed by what's been going on. By the way, we are taking your phone calls, 212-757-1393, or tweet at us at dvtv Live. Tweet at us right now, and we'll look at the screen and read your tweets on the air, and we'll show them on the air, too. And the other weird...
Hello?
That's a phone call.
Hello. What's your name and where are you from?
My name is Catherine, and I'm from the Lower East Side.
Hi, Catherine. Thank you so much for calling us tonight.
You're welcome. I'm really enjoying the show, and so much is going on so fast with this Trump guy. I was curious, did he actually commit an impeachable offense as of yet?
Well, I have been saying, just as the Republicans were saying before the election, they were saying, well, Hillary is eligible for impeachment on day one. I've been saying since before the election and before Trump was sworn in that he is eligible for impeachment. But now definitely he is. There is impeachable.
Oh, yeah.
There's a GOP judge, a lifelong Republican. He said he's been voting for Republican presidents for 36 years. He has offered to help his Republican representative from the House. He's offered to help this Republican representative write up the articles of impeachment. He is so disturbed by this. So yeah, it really looks as if, I mean, the conflicts of interest, grabbing women by the pussycat, I thought all of those things were impeachable acts, but now that we have more solid evidence, that was just talk, locker room talk, yeah. Now that we have evidence, more solid evidence, and more comes out every day, yes, I believe absolutely he's done an impeachable act. And he has no plausible deniability. And tell that dog to shut up.
Hey, be nice to Fluffy.
Okay, I'll be nice to Fluffy. He heard
What's your
me.
dog's
He's complaining.
name? Catherine?
What's your dog's name?
What's your dog's name?
That's Yoda.
Yoda.
Okay.
It figures, yeah. Okay.
Sorry about him.
Yeah.
Well, I'm enjoying the show, and thanks for answering the question.
Okay, thanks so much for calling in. And you can call in, too, at 212-757-1393. You call us to DVTV Live. Now, the other thing that came up with the election, what did Flynn say at the GOP convention? He said, lock her up, lock her up, lock her up. And he said, if I had done 1/10 of what she had done, I would be in jail.
Oh, yeah, wasn't he going to get a special prosecutor on his independent investigation to look into Hillary Clinton?
And her
now,
emails.
Yeah, her emails and everything, and now he's like, I've got better things to do, and he just kind of left Hillary alone.
The FBI said that Hillary was guilty of being careless with emails.
Yeah.
The FBI could not find evidence of a crime. Well, this is not 1/10 of being careless. This is like 100 times worse than anything that Hillary was even accused of doing.
This is foreign treason shit.
This is treason. This is treasonous. Yes. I mean, the Constitution, one of the definitions is giving aid and comfort to the enemy. Now,
Russia's not really an enemy.
Well,
the only person
they're not our
is
friends. You know, they buzzed in the Black Sea. There's a missile launcher, a destroyer, a U.S. Navy thing. The Navy said that 3 Russian jets flew within 1,000 feet, what they call buzzing.
But that's in the airspace, right?
In the airspace, right over 1,000 feet over. 1,000 yards, according to the U.S. Navy. 1,000 yards. That's not an act of war, but it's certainly a provocation. 30 miles, and Trump brought this up today, 30 miles off of the Connecticut coast on the Long Island Sound, 30 miles away from our nuclear submarine base in, I think it's Groton, Connecticut, there is a Russian spy ship full of antennas listening in on American communications.
Hey, Susan, how are you?
Oh, hi.
Hello, how are you doing?
What's your name and where are you from?
I'm doing well. Rich, just curious, what do you think Banner's connection is with all this Russian intrigue, and do you think that Trump sold his soul to the devil, bring him on?
Bannon?
Steve Bannon.
Steve Bannon, yes. And what was the second part of your question?
Do you think that Trump sold his soul to the devil, bringing him on?
Oh, well, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I don't know what Bannon's connection with the Russian part of it is. I can't imagine why anybody would be you know, so open to being friendly with the Russians, not Russian people, but with Vladimir Putin, who is a butcher, a murderer, and with friends like these, you know, who have 4,500 nuclear warheads, who needs enemies?
But so the United States isn't so innocent either.
Well, the United States isn't so, yeah, right. And, you know, there is some validity to what Trump said. I mean, there have been, you know, the United States through the CIA, and, you know, they've installed dictators, they've murdered people. Yes, that has happened, but not with the frequency, and hopefully not recently. But I don't know what Bannon's connection is to that. Those dots I haven't connected. I don't know if Bannon's even involved. I think this involves, like I said, a carrot and stick approach. The stick is the compromat, the dirt that they have on Trump from his many visits to Russia. And, you know, Trump didn't know. I mean, this is stupid of Trump. He can't be a totally stupid guy, but everybody knows that when you go to Russia, not normal tourists, but anybody with any money and anybody with any influence, and certainly all the elected officials, they know that they don't talk in bathrooms, they don't talk in hotel rooms, they don't talk in movie cars, and they don't talk they basically don't say anything because they assume everything is being monitored there.
It's bugged like North Korea.
It's bugged like North Korea, exactly. Exactly.
Yes, I was there as a delegate many years ago. My room was bugged, and all our meeting rooms were bugged.
And you knew it, didn't you?
Pardon me?
And you knew it, didn't you?
Of course.
Of course, yeah. They told you, right?
You know what? Before we got on the plane to go there, they told us, don't get yourself in trouble, because if you do, we can't get you out.
Right, yeah.
They told us point blank.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Now, how could Trump not know this? Well, maybe he was buddying up with like somebody from the KGB. Maybe he thought that his influence or his billions of dollars would, you know, get him through anything. And hey, it did, but they got it all on videotape. They have audio recordings. They have photographs. I'm sure they have photographs of everything.
To embarrass him.
Not only to embarrass him, to blackmail him.
Exactly.
To blackmail him.
They got him in, and then they're going to get him impeached.
Get him
Hopefully.
impeached. Yes.
PS impeach.
But-
Hashtag PS impeach
Hashtag
on Twitter.
PS impeach if you do it on Twitter. But if you send a letter, and letters are always good to your representatives, your congressperson, whether it be Nadler or Carolyn Maloney or Espiat or Chuck Schumer or
even
Kristen
Kristen
Gillibrand,
Gillibrand, yeah.
send them all letters.
They love them.
And put a PS. I always say put a PS because a PS is the most read part of any communication. But if you do it on Twitter, anything you write about Trump on Twitter, do the hashtag PS impeach so we can track it. Okay.
So
Thank you so much for calling, Susan.
Thank you.
212-757-1393. So they have this boat, like 30, is, Russia's not officially our enemy, but the Cold War is on again.
I feel like it is.
Yeah, absolutely it is. That they violated some treaty that Gorbachev and Reagan, the patron saint of the Republicans, they violated some treaty by testing a missile out that Gorbachev years and years ago agreed not to do it. These are not quite acts of war, but they're not acts of friendliness either.
Exactly.
Yes.
But I was thinking with that caller, I think Bannon is more obsessed with getting the agenda of the Breitbart alt-right out, not really foreign policy, because he doesn't know foreign policy. He wants to keep all foreigners away, as if they don't exist. The world outside of America does not exist.
That's
what I was thinking.
He's a xenophobe, and I'm sure he is thrilled. He went from being the editor of a right-wing,
to chief
blog,
of staff. Good for you.
To chief of staff, and bumping the Joint Chiefs of Staff out of, and I don't know if that was his idea, but. Just
Reince Priebus gets some balls.
Yes, well,
Reince
Priebus doesn't have any balls. He is in bed with all of them.
Lord.
Listen, we have something to present to one of our longtime staff has gotten
a gold award.
A gold record. Come on out here, Pepsi. Pepsi, recording artist Pepsi, has been awarded a gold record for 100,000, come on over here between us, 100,000 downloads of a song by, who is it from now, the European?
European Uniqlo distributors.
Digital distributors. That is impressive. A true gold record. So congratulations, Pepsi.
Thank you,
Let me put this in your hand. We just have a few seconds left. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank Esther and Johnny Sands and Adjua and Nedge in the control room, and of course Pepsi, who does our sound. I want to thank you for watching. Join us again in 2 weeks for dvtv Live. Until then, this is Richard Speziale.
And Jeannie.
Good night. Good luck.